Tonight is Monday, October 7th, 2019 at 6 p.m. This meeting is held at the Neil Cpr Auditorium at Winthrop High School, and this may be recorded live by WCAT. Ms. Hames, you please call the roll.
Mr. Fabiano?
Here.
Mr. Matucci?
Yep.
Ms. Powell?
Here.
Ms. Swope? Present. Mr. Vecchia? Mr. Perrin?
Here.
Mr. Capabianco?
Here. Ms. Powell, will you please lead us in pledge of allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Do you have any public comment this evening?
Yes.
Yep. Your name, sir?
Steve here with the Free Coffee.
Yep.
Me the template sent home a pamphlet for learn to skate and cross-ice hockey. Understandably, it was declined. There's apparently a rule that we can't do that. But we're just a public organization. We're a nonprofit. If we're not feeding the high school, there's no high school team. I can understand if we were for-profit, selling something to the youth and using public facilities, but I just wasn't understanding that there was a rule against that. We've been doing it for several years in the past. Had several hundred, if not thousands, of kids come through the program. 60 or so years ago when it was established. So, just wondering if I could pass this out to you folks and you can take a look at it. But just not familiar with what rule that is.
Sure. You want to pass that up here?
Sure. Thank you.
So there is a policy in place that Ms. Powell's chair of the policy subcommittee, but in past years there's been a lot of requests from different organizations.
Sure.
So we kind of had to take a look at this and try and minimize it. But
Yeah.
Mr. Fabiano and I had some conversations, and we're going to try and take a look at maybe adjusting that in the coming.
We've already printed them, so we certainly don't expect the school to pay for it.
Oh, no, we know. I'm just saying that in terms of the policy in place and the reasons why we have some protection to that. I don't know if Ms. Howard. if you want
Yeah,
to speak to
sure.
it.
So we're taking a look at the policy because several requests have come through that we have been unable to give people permission. And so we pulled together a policy subcommittee in which we're going to look at the current policy, which tells us now that we can only distribute materials that are specific to the school. So if we were to hold to the policy consistently, that's what we would have to do. So because we do get so many requests, we've pulled some policies from other districts to look at as well as our own. We have a policy subcommittee set up just to deal with some of those concerns and see if there's any wiggle room in the policy. If the committee feels that the policy can be adjusted at all, then we will do that. So we certainly have heard from the community. So you're one organization. There have been several that have asked us to distribute material, and almost all of them provide the copies of the materials. And some of the concerns around the distribution of it is our parents get a lot of information through the schools, and we are, I believe the policy was put in place quite some time ago to make sure that what we were sending home was school-specific, so when you go through your child's packet, you're finding the school-specific things and not inundated with papers, as well as some concern over our ability to not be discriminatory as to what we do hand out. So if we were able to do the youth hockey, which is certainly a worthy program for all of our kids in the community, as many of us know, there are several programs similar to that that are worthy. So we just want to make sure that the policy language is specific to tell us what can we approve, what can we not approve, and then how does that fit into the public school, and how does it keep us from not getting ourselves tripped up with any discriminatory practice on any agency or for-profit or non-profit. So we've heard loud and clear from the community that they'd like us to revisit that. So we have a subcommittee meeting set up, school committee subcommittee set up to review the policy and then to hear from me some of the requests that we've been receiving. And then the subcommittee will revisit that policy, and if there are any changes, bring it back to the full committee for a vote.
Yeah,
So
certainly there's a plethora of materials going home. And you want to make sure you get the proper stuff, not just what the youth organizations are doing. But
Right.
just think overall, and I'm sure it's already been discussed, but if we weren't feeding the baseball and the lacrosse, these nonprofits that are building the teams that these kids are about to play on, would be in trouble. And it would basically, if we're not paying the rent, meaning the hockey program. I'm not so sure the rink's gonna stay there for long. So it's more of a global issue, right?
It is, and we'll also be, speaking about what is the best mode of communication. Is it the school? Is there a way that the town would be able to distribute, which is a much larger organization and oversees the entire community? Is it a better venue for the town to be providing access to those, whether it be through a website or, a link on their website that speaks to community activities that cover the whole community, separate from the school?
Right.
And, and being able to distribute those materials to our families and let them know where they can find all that information.
Certainly that would help.
School touches, 1,900, and I can tell you effective today, 1,982 children. And so it does, when you're thinking about distributing materials and wanting to reach a large audience, it certainly, the school department has access to a large audience. Community has access to a larger audience as well, so we'll look at the policy and see what we can do with that, and also be in conversation with the town as to how they may be able to assist if there are things that the committee is not able to do in terms of distribution. So,
Albeit this is concentric to the elementary age, this is only for your K through 1. But we're not going to have any other team.
We understand, we hear what you're saying, we're
Okay.
on, we'll take a look at it, and we really appreciate you
All right.
coming
Yeah,
and
definitely.
passing
When's
this out.
when might be the...
We're hoping that it'll be before the next school committee meeting, so in about 2 weeks or so.
Okay, excellent.
Coach, just keep an eye out for
Yes.
this policy subcommittee meeting. It might
Okay.
be something that you might want to go to.
It's
Is that
public,
open?
it's a
Okay.
public
Yes.
meeting.
That's an open meeting.
Absolutely.
Okay, appreciate your time.
Okay.
And
Thank
hopefully,
Thank you for your volunteer.
Yeah,
hopefully we'll be able to
thanks
get
for
you an answer
advocating.
before the 20th. If not,
Okay.
the paper still works if the answer comes afterwards.
Sure.
But we'll do our best.
Fantastic. Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you
you.
very
Have a
much.
good evening.
You
Thank
too.
Moving on, do I have a motion to approve the minutes of the September 23rd meeting?
Motion.
Motion by Mr. Perrin.
Second.
Second by Ms. Powell. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Abstentions? The motion is approved. We have warrant SVW 20-6 in the amount of $247,524.95. Do I have a motion to approve the warrant?
Motion?
Motion by Mr. Matucci.
Second.
Second by Ms. Swope. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions, the ayes have it, and the motion is adopted. Payroll warrant SPW 20-4 in the amount of $200,013, $353.62. Do I have a motion to approve the warrant?
Motion to approve the warrant.
Motion by Ms. Powell, second by Mr. Fabiano. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. All opposed, abstentions?
Abstain.
2 abstentions, the ayes have it, and the motion is adopted. And we do have 2 budget transfers from Winthrop Middle School transfer in the amount of $500 and ATC transfer in the amount of $1,600. Do I have a motion to approve both transfers?
Motion.
Motion by Mr. Matucci, second by Ms. Swope. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions, the ayes have it, and the motion is adopted. And we have 2 building and grounds requests from the medical and reserves for pet first aid and the Winthrop Middle School Parents Club meeting dates. So I have a motion to approve those requests.
Motion.
Motion by Mr. Fabiano, second
Second.
by Ms. Powell. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions, the ayes have it, the motion is adopted. Moving on, Ms. Howard, Superintendent's report. I don't believe we have any subcommittee reports.
Are there any subcommittee reports?
Oh, yeah.
We have the superintendent evaluation complete. I received all 7 of the evaluations. And just a quick, this is kind of like a condensed version of the evaluation and the scores. So step 1 was assess performance on standards and the rate overall performance. The way we rated was, the way they performed is unsatisfactory, needs improvement, proficient, and exemplary. Unsatisfactory obviously being the worst and exemplary the best. Superintendent Howard in the overall performance scored 3 members scored a proficient, 4 scored a exemplary. And rate student impact, there was also 3 levels of ratings, low, moderate, and high. There were 3 members that rated her as moderate, 4 rated her as high. There were 4 standards, performance standards. The first one was instructional leadership, and Superintendent Howard received 3 proficient and 4 exemplary from the committee. On performance 2, standard 2 was management and operations. It was unsatisfactory, needs improvement, proficient, and exemplary. Proficient, there were 3 members that rated proficient, and 4 members rated her exemplary. Standard 3 was family and community. 3 members rated her proficient, 4 members rated her exemplary. The last standard was professional culture. Same thing on the ratings, was proficient, 3 members rated proficient, 4 exemplary. The last section of the evaluation were the agreed upon goals, and it was a little bit different. It was did not meet the goal, some progress in the goal, significant progress in the goal, met the goal or exceeded the goal. There were 3 goals in the one professional practice. There was 1 significant progress. 4 members said she met the goal. 2 members said she exceeded the goal. Student learning, there was 1 significant progress. 3 members said she met the goal. 3 said she exceeded. And then district improvement was last. 1 significant progress. 3 members said she met the goal. 3 members said she exceeded the goal. The conclusion is, after compiling all 7 of the evaluations, the superintendent was exemplary and proficient in all 4 of the overall standards. The superintendent scored high and moderate on student impact. The superintendent exceeded, met, and showed significant progress in the agreed upon goals. Additionally, I'd like to thank all the committee members for taking the time to complete the eval. All comments written pertaining to the evaluation by the committee members were positive and praised the superintendent for doing a great job. And I'd like to thank Superintendent Howard for doing a tremendous job. Copies of this evaluation after tonight will be kept on file at the superintendent's office. Thank you very much.
Do I have a motion to approve the superintendent rating?
Make a motion.
Motion by Mr. Fabiano,
Second.
second by Ms. Powell. Any discussion on the motion?
I'd just like to also say the same thing. Lisa, your commitment to the school system is fantastic, and it's amazing, and your dedication is
Thank you.
appreciated.
Thank you.
Great leadership.
Thank you.
Smartest thing we ever did.
Smartest move I ever made.
Ms. Hames, you please call the roll?
Yes. Mr. Fabiano?
Yes.
Mr. Matucci?
Yes.
Ms. Powell? Yes. Ms. Swope?
Yes.
Mr. Perrin?
Yes.
Mr. Capabianco?
Yes. 6 in the affirmative, 0 in the negative. The motion is adopted.
I would just like to thank everybody for, very hard to hear your own evaluation. I'm always a firm believer that everyone can improve, and I believe that of myself. There's always room for improvement in everything we do. And the superintendent evaluation process is pretty in-depth, and it allows you as school committee members to track my progress. And once the evaluations, the individual evaluations, as well as the evaluation as a whole is provided to me, I certainly will take the time and effort to go through each one of the individual assessments of myself so that I can take a peek at all or any areas that folks felt needed continued improvement. I've worked with a superintendent coach for 2.25 years now, who has pushed me to question myself, question the regularities of what we do here in the Winthrop Public Schools, and use that same avenue to work with the principals and the other administrators. I think it's very valuable to look at the individual assessments by each school committee member so that as I develop goals for myself personally and professionally moving forward in the school district, that I'm able to see the areas of improvement. And as I said, everybody can improve, and I hold myself to a high standard in that area. I'll be asking the committee to give me some additional feedback as we move forward in developing goals for the upcoming school year. The strategic plan that we put an extraordinary amount of time and effort into as a leadership team will continue to be the guiding document for the goals of the school district, but not the only goals. So I'll be asking for some more feedback from the committee in a subcommittee meeting. to help just really take hold of those goals and look at them from the superintendent perspective, and add to those goals with different indicators that will help push me to continue. I have not regretted one day of being the superintendent of schools here in Winthrop. It is a full-time, 24-hour-a-day, 7-day-a-week job, and I signed up for that. As my nephew would say, you signed up for this. And I did sign up for that, and I take that very seriously in everything I do, the way I conduct myself as a member of this community, the way I participate in activities in the community, the way I communicate with my parents, but I am a very strong believer of continuous improvement. If I'm expecting principals to improve, principals are expecting teachers to improve, and teachers are expecting children to improve. I can't be left out of that mix. So although my ratings were high, and I appreciate that and value that, I don't take any of that for granted, and certainly will not sit back and relax with that type of an evaluation. It will motivate me to continue to set high standards for myself as well as the school district, including everybody who is here. So I thank you for the time and effort. I apologize if I flooded you with information. I probably could have given you 15 or 16 binders worth of information about the school. And the evidence to support all of the goals and the progress is certainly something that I will keep in my office in the event that anybody has any question about any progress past or moving forward. And I welcome those questions as we move along through the school year. So I appreciate all the work and time and effort you took to go through those goals and to give me a rating. Much appreciated.
Thank you. As we said, the evaluation is public, so we certainly encourage everyone in the community to take a look at that. Moving on, Ms. Howard, the superintendent's report.
Yes, a few updates. Start with facilities. We have an issue at the Cummings School with a water heater that I wanted to bring to your attention. We have 2 water heaters at the Cummings School that are original to the building. One of them has failed on us. We have had a company come out that manages and does the maintenance of that water heater. They're coming back out to deliver a report to the facilities manager as well as myself and Ms. Grimes, who's the principal of the building, so that we can make some decisions moving forward about if that needs to be replaced or repaired. They're both 15 years old. One is still in working condition. They are the hot water heaters for the building. We use hot water in our cafeterias as well as our bathroom facilities. So we want to make sure that we continuously have access to hot water. So I'll bring more information back to the committee in terms of the cost associated with either a repair or a replacement. At last check, they were advising to fully replace at least one of the heaters so that we have one that is fully functioning and new, and then we continue to have a backup heater. But again, I want the details of that repair versus a replacement so that I can share that with the committee so that we can make a decision in terms of the impact that will have and where we will be drawing the funds to replace or repair that particular water heater. Building safety reports that were done at the beginning of the school year, sticking with facilities, involve some continuous improvement regarding our facilities, whether it be adding walkie-talkies, additional walkie-talkies for the purpose of safety, or updating any of our procedures that we have, clearing out certain areas. Much has been done since the walkthrough in August with the police and fire department. We are in communication with both chiefs in terms of how much progress we've made in those areas. We have replaced a lot of signage, and that's a safety issue. So indicating large signs as to what section of the building we're in, and although the signage may not seem something that's usable to the general folks, it's very important to the police and the fire that they have the exact same layout and map in the event of an emergency. You might see the letter B above a certain door or a number outside on the school building. So we always work to replace those so that they match the police and fire maps that they have on hand. A lot of that work has been done, and we thank Honan Sign for helping us out with some of those items. The Gorman Fort Bank School, just another quick update, has received some new cameras, and we've checked the angles on all of the cameras. That's part of the safety plan. I'll be meeting, we've had 3 meetings already, we'll have 1 more meeting with the principals to get a final update. Then we'll let both chiefs know the improvements that we've made. They will take another walk through the building, and they'll go through their original report, cross-reference it with what we said we have done to make sure that we're all on the same page. We did a lot of work on the safety report last year, so things looked much better this year than they did last year, and we had very few improvements that we needed to make. However, the communication with fire and police is critical in terms of those evaluations and assessments. In terms of the cost related to those, costs are around signage, technology, making sure our cameras are up to date. I thank the chief of police for his efforts in getting us some additional cameras at no cost to the school district through Homeland Security, and making sure those are all connected. So that's been a lot of work going on at the Gorman Fort Bank School, which was the school that had some difficulty with its video cameras. So that has been done. Quick update on the Cumming School playground. We have installed a 6-foot fence around the structure of the playground at the Cumming School, which is the slides and the monkey bars. We have done that because we are in the process of creating a timeline to remove the structure and prepare ourselves to install a new playground, which includes the surface. At this point, although it's not the prettiest of playgrounds, it's being done so that when folks are ready, and we're looking now at having our own custodial staff, with the help of the DPW, remove the structure, and that will save some cost on the labor in the full project. So I have DPW and the facilities manager working on a timeline to get that taken down. We wanted the fence structure put up so that the second they were ready to start dismantling, they could do that with no safety issue to our students. On the 11th, we have one of the playground companies who, the Altiplay, which is the playground company that this committee approved of doing the work. They're coming out to do a final walkthrough to look at the current surface, lift it up to see what the prep work may involve underneath. They had a general idea of what it is, but now that we're ready to move forward, they want to give us the labor cost associated with that, which will help us determine whether or not we need to bid out the labor. The actual playground structures, we want to finalize those. We have put together a team of people at the Cumming School that will be meeting with the Altiplay playground designer to look at the original playground layout that the school committee approved. Since that approval, there's been some change in cost of things, some for the better, and we've also had some more input from staff at the Cumming School as well as some of our students in terms of what they would like to see there. So sticking within the confines of the amount of money that was appropriated by the town, we're going to relook at that layout. We've also decided we want to have a project manager as part of this, so that communication to families is clear and timely and is coming from one source. Ms. Grimes will be updating our parents through her email. She does a weekly email to parents, so as information becomes available in terms of the timeline, she will make sure that that gets out to our families, and I in turn will make sure that that comes back to the committee as well as the town.
So two questions on that. One, can that timeline and that information be shared with students in all grades, since that playground is used by more than just
Sure,
the
we could do
Cumming
that.
School?
We could put that on our main website so that folks could see that. And it is a widely used playground. So I believe Sunday night, Ms. Grimes informed the parents about the structure, the fencing structure that was put up. That fence was put up by the same company that is working on the Miller Field project. So they're pretty savvy and understanding. They met with Nora and myself to talk about our need to have our students still be able to be outside, and how can we have them outside and make sure that that fence is secure, and that there's no trippability over the fence structure that sits on the current surface. And after they installed it, our building facilities manager came out and looked as well. So there was a lot of input into how it should be put up to make sure our kids could still use the outside to a degree, the swings, which are the number one piece of equipment that our students use.
And
So,
that's my second question is, what are you doing about recess
so
in the interim?
Yeah, so recess, Ms. Grimes and Mrs. O'Leary are in the process of redesigning when the kids go outside, what aspects of the outside they can use. It's weather dependent, and it's the total number of students that are outside. We have the front area of the building, where the fence was installed by the DPW last year, the wooden fence to prevent kids from running out towards the street. Not that it will prevent them, but it's a barrier from the street to the surface. The surface itself is cement, which is less forgiving than the structure that is out in the back as it is right now. But closing off the actual climbing structure with the fence prevents students from being up on top of a structure and then, either falling or jumping to the ground. So the surface, as explained to me by multiple people who have looked at the surface, including Altiplay, that surface is not meant to prevent injuries. The surface itself is put in place to lessen the impact when a student were to fall off of a piece of equipment, or certainly fall when they're running. If you think about cement versus a padded structure, irregardless of how thick the pad is, it's a little more forgiving when you trip or fall, or you're fooling around with your friends and you're rolling around. It's less forgiving on the cement than it is on that. So we'd like to be able to give them access. Recess at this level is not a long period of time. It's not a 45-minute outside play. We've talked about utilizing Ingleside Park, and the time it takes to get from having your lunch, or if you're going before lunch, to get over to Ingleside to play outside. We're working also with is quite a bit of time. And we don't want to lessen the amount of times the kids get to play and socialize, but we want to make sure where they're playing is safe and supported. Phys ed teacher, Mr. Preble, is also working with Ms. Grimes on looking at different activities that the students can be doing. If they're on the other play surface, which is the cement and the circle, that would not be something that would set the students up for running and falling. So activities such as jump roping and sort of less ground rolling activities is what Mr. Preble is going to be working with Ms. Grimes on.
All right, real quick, I know that there was an issue last week in Worcester, and I was wondering if you could remind parents so they feel good about the protocols we have in place for choking.
Yep, I'm going to jump to that in 1 second. As soon as I get off facilities, I think you have another question.
Remind me again when we're going to start on the playground?
So this past Friday, we started because we sectioned
fence,
off. Our planning sessions have been ongoing for
Right.
quite some time. Altiplay is coming out on the 11th
Yeah.
to meet with us to go through, and they will have to give us a timeline. So the
Okay, so
timeline is
we
dependent
haven't decided
upon
that quite yet.
Altiplay. And just for anyone who's watching and wants to understand about how it works, the structure itself, the play equipment, to order the play equipment and get the play equipment here is a priority. The surface itself cannot be put down until after all the play equipment is put together and so the current surface is removed and the ground is prepped, and then the materials that we order will be put together, set up, and then we need a stretch of 40-degree weather in order to properly lay the surface, the new surface, so that you don't have any structural problems with the weather causing it to buckle, and so it doesn't negate any warranty that comes with the actual surface. So Altiplay will give us the best estimate. They're also going to, on the 11th, sit with our team and talk about a couple of options in terms of the equipment itself. There are community build options that promote community involvement in building the equipment, putting the equipment together, and actually setting it up. So we want to talk about whether or not that's an option for us, and if we have some input from the community, which we will seek, as to whether or not there are people who would be willing to do that. The nice thing about it is Altiplay will be the people that do the final sort of punch list. Once that, if it is a community build and we can get that done, they'll go through and do a punch list to make sure that all the screws are tightened, that everything is on the ground the way it should be, and they would certify that before the ground, the surface went in, just to make sure that we're not negating any warranties with the equipment itself and that it is properly designed, properly put together and stable in the ground as we need it before that surface goes in. So the timeline, if I was going to guess, I would say that the playground itself will probably not be complete until the end of the school year or sometime in the spring. I can't give you any exact dates until the people who are playground people come out and give us their best estimate on that.
And just to clarify, we started this process in April, because that's
Oh,
when
I
we
know,
originally took
I
our
know.
vote.
We actually started
remember.
this process a couple of years ago.
I remember.
Lisa, can we find a small amount of funds to give to the schools so that they can use that towards the activities for the recess, whatever maybe they might, there might be some additional equipment or a one-day thing that they can rent and they feel, something to offset losing the playground.
Sure, that's why we have the phys ed teacher and physical therapists in the school as well as part of this group to say to us, okay, moving forward now, what do we need? If there are additional things that we need. Is there gym equipment that's not currently being utilized that we can take outside for recess? So certainly, if there are things that need to be purchased, we will absolutely make that a priority so that the kids are, one, not bored. Recess is a very short period of time outside. It's interesting because some people feel as though this is an opportunity for kids to sort of circle back to creative play and for the students themselves to come up with something. I see creative play with no toys outside being tag and falling down on cement. So we're going to help orchestrate that and organize that with our students. The people that are outside during lunch are typically our lunch monitors and recess monitors who are outside with our students. So any new equipment that goes outside or any thing that Mr. Preble feels as though would be a good outside activity, we'll have him make sure we're letting our recess monitors and lunch monitors know this is how this is supposed to be utilized.
Thank you.
So that was a quick update. Talked about the new cameras. Technology, as you know, one of our technology specialists has moved on to a different career, and we met with Retrofit, and we've asked Retrofit, who is the technology company that oversees our back-end work and our servers and all of sort of the higher-end stuff, to help us with right-sizing what we need to do moving forward in terms of having lost one of our IT professionals. So they have started the process of interviewing. They interviewed Gio before he left, and they interviewed Petro, who's our other IT specialist, to get an idea of what type of a replacement we would need for him short-term, and they're willing to support us with that, as well as working with me to come forth with a long-term plan for technology support district-wide. So that's more of a sort of an audit process of what we have and what we need in terms of actual support, not hardware, not things like that, but physical bodies and on-the-ground staff. We are in full agreement that we are short-staffed on the ground, meaning we don't have someone in each building that deals with technology. We had 2 people that were dealing with that, and we're now down to 1. We will post for the position. I was hesitant to post right away, only because I want to make sure whatever we're posting for, that it is going to be what we need. And how does that look? And if it's part-time, 2 part-time people versus 1 full-time person, does that give us more capacity to handle some of our on-the-ground concerns that we have been having over the past year? So I'll be meeting with Retrofit as well as Petro, who is our lone IT guy right now, to determine how that's going to look moving forward. In the meantime, Retrofit is on call for us for anything that we do need. So I'll give you more on that. So there was a community concern raised around sort of safety and CPR, and there was an incident that took place in another community that was certainly widely known through the news media, of a child who unfortunately choked during lunchtime or snack time, and that child unfortunately passed away from a choking hazard. It's something that can happen anywhere, anytime. What we wanted to figure out was how much information do we put out there for our staff in terms of CPR training, which involves, according to our nurse, as well as the town nurse, CPR training involves the Heimlich maneuver. So we wanted to get a general sense of how many people we had trained in CPR, what that looked like in our district, and sort of what is our plan in the cafeteria or in a classroom. So information that I've gained is, as of this month, the number of people that are trained per building. At the Gorman Fort Banks, we have 12 certified CPR, which includes Heimlich maneuver trained staff, 10 at the Cummings, 9 at the middle school, 17 at the high school. So those are staff members that are in the building and not inclusive of the school nurse in each building. so the school nurses are also trained. We have signage in our cafeterias that, sort of training protocols that list the steps one needs to take if a student is choking. We have just decided that we want to order more of that signage so that we can have them in our classrooms where kids have snack. So right now, we don't have them posted in our classrooms at the elementary level. Our elementary students have a working snack. I happen to walk through and participate in working snack today in grade 2, and students are actually doing schoolwork. So I was looking at spelling today while they were eating. So spelling papers were a little bit dirty, but we had lots of healthy snacks in the classroom. Grapes are a pet peeve of mine. My son is 12. I still cut his grapes up before he goes to school. It's not allowed to take a whole grape. However, it begs, this particular news story certainly opens eyes. Always a good time to recheck ourselves and see what we have. So our nurses have, Nurse Benson reached out to me today to see if she could order some of those cards for those classrooms at the elementary school so we could have those steps not only in the cafeteria but in the classrooms. The nurses are also checking all the cafeterias as we speak. They checked, I believe, all of them today, where the signage is in the cafeteria. Rose Mazzucchelli is coming out to do CPR and Heimlich training for the lunch staff. So our lunch ladies are in the lunchroom all the time. So that's a good group of people to offer that training to as well. In terms of our coaches, it's mandatory. So every coach that is a coach for Winthrop Public Schools is trained in CPR and has to have that certification. Matt Serino, who happens to be our athletic director, does the training because he is a trainer in that area. So he trains the coaches a couple of times a year, and they have to have that in order to be employed.
Lisa, quick question. Do the other teachers know who's trained and who isn't? So say there was a teacher on the second floor in the Fort Banks. Does she know who's trained in her area?
I'm not 100% sure of that, but it's a good question. I will ask that of the principals to see if they know. We do know who, through our trauma teams, we do know who has trauma training. So CPR training is certainly something that we can let our staff know about if they don't already know. It's a good point to make. Professional development, quick update on PD. All of our ALICE drills have been completed. ALICE certification for all staff is ongoing. I check it weekly just to make sure our staff has completed their certification and any new staff. We have posted on our website information about ALICE. Parents have been asking, what is ALICE? They want a little more information. So each school site has an explanation of ALICE on it, and our main page does as well. We have on November 5th, the 5-district partnership is doing a really, really neat training for all 5 school districts on equity. Multiple opportunities for teachers in all the 5 districts. They've all signed up already, so there's a Google Doc where everybody goes on and signs up. You get put in a cohort which tells you what school you're going to. So on November 5th, when there are no students in school, Winthrop Public Schools teachers will be either in Chelsea, Revere, or Malden, depending upon what they signed up for. So they'll start their day, and it's a full day of taking courses around equity and inclusion. And I will share with you, it came out today, the actual list of opportunities for teachers. So I'll share with you, there were over 100 different activities that teachers from the 5 districts will do together. That event will have teachers after the event will be able to go on and say, did you like this? Is this something that you felt was meaningful? They will start and end their day there, so they will not show up here. On that same day, our trauma assessment team, which is comprised now of over 30 people from the school district as well as police, fire, and town, will be meeting to do the Virginia model of assessment training under the direction of Dewey Cornell and Riverside Trauma Training Center. That will just take our trauma response to a level that is exceeding many districts in the Commonwealth. And the trauma assessment team from Riverside is thrilled that they have the opportunity to do this high-level training with our staff. They'll be the formal trauma assessment training team for the community. Our school-based people will be school-only, but the community is also involved. So we'll have, I believe we're We have 5 police officers, the police chief, the fire, we have people from the fire department, Meredith Hurley, the town social worker, and then we have 5 participating policemen from, I believe it's either Medford or Malden, I confuse them, coming because they are thinking about doing this in their own community, so they're going to participate with us. I will provide you with the schedule of that activity once they give me the final draft. It's an 8-hour training that will take place in this room. And, you know, the town is committing a fair number of people for 8 hours in a full day. It speaks to the level of commitment of the town and the school district as one. So I'm pretty pumped up about it. It's something that I have had on my radar since before coming here, that I think is just such a useful tool. If you saw our response to our event on the first day of school, and we had a missing child, we have it, we just don't have it on paper. And then we wanted the formal documentation and the formal training just to constantly improve our practice in keeping our students safe. So I'm very excited about that. And then the other PD that's happening, I'm committed to providing professional development to kids, because I don't think kids should be left out of the mix. I told you we were given the opportunity through the Sandy Hook Promise Foundation to come out and provide our students with information on signs of suicide and signs of school trauma and threat. So, and I believe it's November 14th, that they will start with grade 6, and they'll spend the whole day, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12, in an assembly fashion, talking from the perspective of kids and what, if you see something, what do you say? It's all related to the signs of suicide curriculum, which will tie into our middle school program, where not having Spanish, but 2 days a week of having SEL. Not only will the Bot-Bin curriculum continue to be used, but the Sandy Hook Signs of Suicide curriculum will also be made available to us at no charge for investing in this program through the AG's office. So we're super excited about that. And I will give you more information on the breakdown of that. And you're invited to come to that if you would like to come and see one of them. So they'll do 6 through 12 in one day. Each auditorium filled with students will be specific to the age group. So I can send you out the times for those so that you may want to come and just sit in and listen and hear from their perspective what they're teaching kids and the information they're giving kids about being able to talk to adults when they see a peer in trauma or something different about a student, a change in behavior, or they hear about a threat. What should they do with that? Our kids are our best voice. They usually know things well before we do. So now reaching out to them, letting them know this is what we want you to do, this is what we expect you to do, and we'll be proud of you when you do it. But I don't know that we've sat down and told them that yet. So that's what the Sandy Hook Promise program is. It will start with hello. I don't know if people have seen that on any social media or on the news. The Start With Hello program is students reaching out to other students and just saying hi, and getting kids to be included so that students who are feeling isolated don't always feel isolated. And then that rolls into discovering what does isolation look like, what should you do with a peer in that case. So again, another project that I'm very excited about, and the staff is excited about it as well. Last thing is, that was it for me for today. Student enrollment, if you'd like to hear about that, we have for September, 1,982 students enrolled. Enrollment is climbing. We're enrolling students weekly. So I'm seeing definitely an uptake in the total number of students that we have. And again, month to month, it fluctuates. Our largest class right now is I believe it's our 6th grade. Our 6th grade and our kindergarten are tied with 163 students in each one of those classes, so those classes are relatively large. Our 11th grade has 161 students in it.
Lisa, are they moving into the community, or are they leaving other schools, like other private schools, and coming back to the public school
it's interesting. I
system?
got a call today. We've had students leaving private schools and coming back, and I'm seeing now, I call it a trend, because if there's more than one student returning from either a vocational school or Essex Aggie, to me, it's a trend. And we've had one student looking to return from Essex Aggie, and another student, 2 students looking to return from the vocational school.
Money-wise, what happens with the money that we paid for them?
Yeah, that's a good question, considering it's after October 1st. So I'm going to look into that a little more deeply. I believe once October 1 rolls around, that foundation money that would have been in the school stays with the school that it was provided to after October 1st. So, we'll take students with a public school. We'll take you back October, November, December. We'd love to have you. Ideally, I'd like to get you before October 1st. However, hopefully that trend backs up to August and students start enrolling in August. But there's a reason that kids are coming back. We have nice facilities, great schools, great teachers, and people are starting to talk about that more in the community, which has been another push from the staffing's perspective, to talk about the great things that we're doing and not just keep it in-house. So I'm excited about that.
Personnel?
Personnel, yes. Personnel, we have one resignation of an ESP, and we have posted that. That ESP also had a stipend for job coaching for our life skills class, so that has been also posted. And we have one retirement known to us, which is the first time since I've been here, I believe, that we've had a retirement. Miss Joyce English, first grade teacher at the Gorman Fort Bank School, is going to retire at the end of June. She has been with us. By the end of June, she will have spent 30 years with us. Anyone you talk to will tell you what an amazing teacher Joyce is. She has run our mentor program, and this year she stepped down from the mentor program to allow somebody to come in and give her the ability to help walk that person through what it entails to be the mentor, as opposed to just taking the position and keeping it till she left. She allowed us to give that to somebody else. She will be sorely missed, but we'll keep our hooks in her to get her back during retirement. We'll give her about 15 minutes, and then we're going to ask her, I'm sure, to come in and do some work.
I personally will really miss her.
Yeah,
She
she's a great
just
teacher.
truly is an excellent teacher.
She brings a lot of positivity, and you talk about mentoring. Here's a teacher who's been here for 30 years and is still going strong, and still pushing, and still dedicated to making sure every day is the best day for her students, even though she can see the light at the end of the tunnel of retirement, which is, congratulations to her for that. However, when we have good people like Joyce, we will try to hang on to her in some fashion. I'm sure she'll be back reading, but if we can do anything else with her, we'd love to. And that is it for no leave of absences, and that would be it.
All right, you don't have any new business, any public comment?
Public relations, so. Matucci.
No.
Just want to let everyone know, the Senate last week passed the Students' Opportunity Act. We passed a resolution last year supporting that, and Winthrop Teachers Association supports that legislation as well. So hopefully that bill is on to the House and signed by the governor right away.
I just want to congratulate our middle school cross-country team. I've been hearing a lot of great things, a lot of enthusiasm, and that is going to be an important feeder program for our high school cross-country program.
I believe we have 50-plus students running track right now. So an activity keeping kids busy after school, creating a culture of support for each other, and we have a lot of girls running track, which is just great, giving them another outlet to utilize their mind and body. And we're very thankful to Mr. Curley, as well as the coaches who stepped up to coach the group of kids that we have. So I see them running all over the place.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
First by Matucci, second by Mr. Parent. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, such, ayes have it.